Ladies and gentlemen, we are under attack. Our very way of life, our very existence is threatened. They have already taken over Washington. They continue to destroy our Constitution. It is time to take back our country now.
The Wise Conservative Show, bringing wisdom back to politics.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dakota Wise, and today I will be your host for this rendition of the Wise Conservative Show. Now, when I was doing prep for this show, I was going to be talking mostly about the elections because we've seen a lot of things develop over the last week, a lot of interesting news coming out of both sides for the presidential race. But then just shortly, about an hour ago, something on my Facebook feed caught my eye, and I just have to discuss it because I am absolutely outraged about some of the allegations that are being made against Republicans, and it really just brought up this whole idea that the liberal camp, the liberal side, is so great at spreading lies and spreading inaccuracies against the conservative movement, and then selling them off as truths and indoctrinating it into the young youth of America as fact. So today I want to talk about some of the fallacies of the liberal movement and why it is absolutely essential for the United States that we remove these fallacies that are being taught to our children, and quite frankly is the reason that this country is going to hell in a handbasket. So let's talk about some of these claims that are being made by the liberal side about how they are so much better and so much more moral, how they help more people, how the Republicans are evil white people who have it in for anyone who isn't a rich white man. And that's just not true. But it's one of those things that's been passed off as truth by the Liberal Party, and is one of the reasons that the Republican Party is in the state it is today with the millennials and with young people, because for so long we've been telling our students that this is how it is. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So I'm looking at this list of things the liberals do better than the conservatives. Number one, they claim that they favor the common person while the conservatives favor the wealthy and the corporations. That's not true. That's not true at all. You see, the Liberal Party stands for expanding government. The Liberal Party stands for raising taxes. That doesn't help common man. That doesn't help the common folk. Because there's no point in the government in which raising taxes and which expanding the cost of our government onto the American people helps anyone whatsoever. That's never helped, because when it comes down to it, you can say you're going to tax the wealthy. You can say you're going to tax the wealthy at 95%. But that still does not make up for the fact that Bernie Sanders and some of the other Democratic candidates in the past have made solutions that would cost the United States government $18 trillion during his presidency. You can't raise $18 trillion by taxing even the wealthiest at 95%. Their math doesn't add up. So then where does the rest of the money come from? Well, it comes from the middle class, the common folk. The common middle class is always who ends up bearing the burden of taxes. So expanding government and raising taxes is not something that helps the common man. And so it's not something the Democratic Party does better. Now let's look at the Republican side. Do we favor the wealthy? Do we favor corporations? No. The Republican movement, the conservative movement, favors success. It favors those who went out, do well for themselves, and it rewards people. We aren't trying to tax the nation's richest into poverty. In fact, we shouldn't be shaming the nation's richest. We should be trying to make more millionaires, not taxing the wealthy into poverty. There's nothing wrong with people who have been successful in their life. We should be trying to encourage people to do the same. So that is one large large belief that the Democrats have that they're for the common man, but that's just not true in any aspect whatsoever. Now, let's look at the second allegation. They seek to liberate, while the conservatives seek to subjugate. Well, that's a little odd. I'm not sure who the Democrats are looking to liberate. Big government doesn't liberate anyone. Taking away people's constitutional rights, that doesn't liberate anyone. And who exactly are the Republicans putting down? I haven't seen it. No one else has seen it, except maybe some of these liberals who seem to believe that the Republicans are pushing slavery and that we all are white plantation owners. They seem to be stuck in 19th century politics. The Republicans aren't holding anyone down. No one. And yet it's this common misconception that the Democrat Party is liberating people. Who? Who have they liberated? Please, give me an example, because there are none. Number 3, they seek to unite while conservatives seek to divide. This is a really big one. The Liberal Party does not unite anybody whatsoever. It doesn't even unite Democrats. Let's look. Whenever there's some sort of tragic incident, the only thing that gets reported, if it involves a white man and a black man, is that a white man, just for instance, white cop shoots unarmed black man. That would be the headline. Yet whenever black-on-black violence happens, which is statistically more common, suddenly race is left out. Why? Because it doesn't help stir up discontent. It doesn't help stir up the minority. And the Liberal Party is not about uniting people. Race relations under Barack Obama are worse than they have been since 1960. They haven't united anyone. Let's look at the facts. They can't even unite Congress. Barack Obama has been unable to unite the American people. If anything, the gap between minorities and those who are not minorities in the United States is larger than ever, and the gap between Republicans and Democrats is larger than ever. Right now, the nation is more divided than it has been in decades, all while a Democrat was holding office. So why then do people seem to think that they're for uniting people when that's exactly the opposite of what's happened? Number 4, Democrats seek to protect while conservatives seek to exploit. Well, I must have missed out on who the liberals are protecting, because they're not protecting your constitutional rights, and they're not protecting those unborn babies. So who exactly are they protecting? I've yet to see it. And the conservatives seek to exploit? Exploit what? Conservatives lower taxes. Conservatives are about shrinking the government. I'm not sure how that's exploiting anything whatsoever. But again, it seems that a lot of the liberal logic comes straight out of the 19th century. Number 5, they seek to enfranchise while conservatives seek to disenfranchise. Now, this is another big one. The Liberal Party says that Republicans are seeking to disenfranchise minorities because we want voter ID laws. But let's look at the facts. You need to have an ID in order to sign up for welfare. You need to have an ID in order to buy alcohol. You need to have an ID in order to even rent a car. Yet when you go to vote, which is realistically the greatest responsibility and duty we have as an American citizen, suddenly it's racist to require an ID? No, that makes no sense. Every other aspect of life, it's perfectly fine to require it. But suddenly when we're trying to do our civil duty, it's racist? I see nothing wrong with requiring an ID to vote. In fact, I would encourage more states to adopt it. That's not disenfranchisement. It's preventing fraud. But the Liberal Party knows that probably 95% of the voter fraud goes in their favor. So why put an end to it? Number 6, they seek to encourage individuality, I can't talk tonight, versus the Conservative Party who encourages conformity. Really? Let's look to our education system. Studies have found that 5 out of 6 professors identify as liberal. Our education system is indoctrinating students with their liberal ideas, and yet suddenly they're going to claim that you're more of an individual for standing up for liberal ideas? No. It's very easy to be a liberal in our education system because everyone else is. It's much harder to stand up as a conservative student. You get targeted by students. You get targeted by professors, by teachers. So where they claim that it's more of an individuality that the Liberal Party promotes, I don't know, because I've yet to see that, because the Liberal Party seems to be about sheeple mentality. Just go along with what they say, don't question it, and you'll be okay. That's not promoting individualness. No, that's encouraging conformity. If anything, this has it backwards. Number 6, I think. They seek to celebrate diversity, while the conservatives fear diversity. Let's look to the primary nominations. The Republican Party had women, it had people of all ethnicities, not just rich white men like they seem to think it is. Yet if you look to the Democratic primary nominations, they had three white people, an old white guy, an old white woman, and who knows what Martin O'Malley, a middle-aged white man. Yeah, that's really diverse. Give me a break. If you look further, they claim that liberals embrace science and art, while conservatives oppose science and art. That's not true. That's not true at all. Plenty of conservatives are working in the scientific field. Plenty of conservatives are involved in the art scene. I'm not sure where exactly they get this arbitrary claim that, Republicans oppose science and art. I don't know if that's trying to be a stab at Republicans who don't necessarily buy into the whole evolution thing, but that goes along with religious freedom. But, of course, we've already covered the fact that liberals don't encourage freedom. They don't encourage religious freedom, so why would they here? Moving on, they say that they promote peace while conservatives promote aggression. Well, let's look at Obama's Middle East. How's that peace going for you? How's ISIS doing under the democratic peace? We're more at danger now than we have been in 2 decades. ISIS poses the largest threat we've faced since World War II. How is promoting peace accomplished anything? Anything right now? The simple fact is that it hasn't. Sometimes you need to take an aggressive stance. You can't be afraid to use the military if you're paying for it. Promoting peace is great. Peace is a great thing. But you can't be afraid to stand up and protect our nation when you have to. But the Democratic Party has shown that they will not stand up to a group of people running around in 20-year-old Toyotas with the 50-year-old Cold Era war guns in the middle of a desert who threaten and kill innocent American lives. That's what the Liberal Party stands for. It does not stand for promoting peace. It stands for promoting weakness. Next, it goes on to claim that liberals promote hope. Here's where they have that right. They do promote hope in the fact that we pray. We pray that there won't be another Democrat in office. So, I'll give them that. They could go on to claim that liberals promote education. I think this is supposed to be a stab at the fact that the Liberal Party had the whole Common Core fiasco. But let's look at it. Republicans don't oppose Common Core because it's an education plan. We oppose it because it's fundamentally flawed. Common Core was a flawed idea from the beginning. It's not because it's education. But, again, liberals seek to pretty much lie about things and twist it, and you come up with this idea and notion that's nothing like the original and what was intended. They go on to claim that liberals promote cooperation. Where? Look to Congress. Sure, they'd love to blame the Republicans for being the reason that Obama has been unable to gain support in Congress, but in reality, if you look, everything Obama has said has been his way or the highway. And by highway, of course, I mean executive action. Most of the time illegally, but he hasn't made any attempt whatsoever to work with the Republicans. You can't expect us to cave on every issue. Cooperation involves meeting in the middle, and the Democrats have shown time and time again that they will not even attempt to take a step towards the middle. It is very much their way or the highway, and that is not cooperation, because then they go and blame it on the Republicans. We've made lots of what I would consider stupid deals with the Democrats, yet somehow we still get labeled as not willing to work with them. Yet, they're the ones who supposedly promote cooperation. Right. It goes on to say that liberals indulge in truth. In truth? Really? It claims that conservatives indulge in deception. Let me look to Hillary Clinton. She is 100% definitely the most truthful person I know. I would definitely give her all my emails to handle, because she's so great at handling emails. And I would definitely make sure that she was involved in protecting American lives overseas, because she just seems truthful. Give me a break, people. The Liberal Party lies to you just as much as the rest of the politicians. They're all the same when it comes to this. There's no truth involved in politics, so don't try to pretend that your party is the one who's being truthful and honest with the American people. Just don't. It goes on to say that they promote innovation and progress, and the conservatives defend tradition against progress. Well, yeah, that's kind of the definition of conservative, but if you look, traditional values are the reason that the United States was the greatest nation on earth for several decades. We weren't the greatest nation on earth because we decided to promote socialistic ideas, because we decided to expand government, because we decided to run up a debt close to $20 trillion. That's not what got us to number one. Yet somehow trying to return to these values that made us the greatest nation on earth is somehow sinful and should be ashamed of. Really? No. They go on to say that liberals believe human beings are naturally good, and conservatives believe humans are sinful. Really? If human beings are so good, then why does the Liberal Party work so hard to take away our constitutional right to own firearms? If the liberals believe that humans are so good, why would they not want people to have guns? It's because that's just a blatant lie that I don't know where they came up with this. Where do they believe humans are good? They don't. Conservatives don't believe humans are sinful, but we're realistic. There's good people and there's bad people. There's people in the middle. It's the real world. But time and time again, we've seen that the Liberal Party does not live in the real world whatsoever at all. They seem to exist in this fantasy where they base their ideas and notions off of idealistic ideas, and they seem to live in that world. But that's not the world we live in. So time and time again, all 14 I believe they were, are these common misconceptions about the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party. And they all break down. They're all failed and flawed in logic. They all pretty much represent the exact opposite, but they're what is being fed to our children time and time again when they go to school, when they sit in class. And that is why children are under the impression that the Republican Party is evil. It's because they're being indoctrinated this from the start. And it has to stop. It has to. Because if we continue down the path that Barack Obama has set us on, we won't be a nation in 50 years. We are at our weakest point. We are at our most divided point. He has literally created the most chaos in the United States that is probably possible in 8 years, short of something like a civil war. And yet somehow, people are considering electing Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders to continue his message of hope and change. There's been no hope. There's been no change. The United States, whether you like Barack Obama or not, you cannot say that the United States is in a better place than we were 8 years ago, because it's not true. And there's so many different areas you can look to show that that is not true. So why? Why would you consider electing Hillary Clinton, who has pretty much based her whole campaign off of the fact that she is a third-term Obama? Why? Because as it stands, Barack Obama has had 8 years to deliver hope and change that he promised, and he still has yet to deliver on most of his campaign promises. Yet you're going to give someone a third term in order to attempt this? Wake up, people. You fool me once, shame on you. You fool me twice, shame on me. But if you vote for her a third time, shame on all of you, because we would be insane to elect her. Insane. Barack Obama has failed to deliver. It's time to wake up. It's time to step into the real world where you have to work for things you want, where you don't get everything for free, where you have to step up and do actual adult things. Because that is the real world. So you need to snap out of the idealistic world that you live in and face reality. Obama lied to you. Obama failed you. So why the hell would you vote for Obama a third time? Now, that is why this campaign and this election is so very important. So it's really why there's been so much emphasis on watching the campaign as it goes along, watching the developments. And so this week we've had quite a few interesting developments come up. First, I want to start off with perhaps the biggest news coming out just a few hours ago. For the first time, Bernie Sanders has passed Hillary Clinton in a national poll by 3%. Now, it's well within the margin of error for this poll. But as it stands, a month ago, Bernie Sanders was trailing her by nearly 10%. Bernie Sanders is undeniably surging. He is passing Hillary Clinton, and if he keeps this up, he's going to secure the nomination. But it's going to be a close battle. And just like we talked about on Tuesday, about the possibilities of a brokered convention, there's a very real possibility that the Democratic nomination might not match up with what the people, with what the popular vote decides. And it's because the Democratic primaries have this idea, this thing called super delegates, which are pretty much delegates that aren't given to a candidate based on the people voting. They're just given to the delegates based on whoever these individuals feel would be the best nominee. Now, of course, these nominees, these super delegates, as they're called, favor Hillary Clinton. She's the establishment choice. So it's already been discussed to great lengths that even if Bernie Sanders wins the popular vote in all the primary, he just might not receive the nomination. Very, very similar to the brokered convention. That's a very real possibility on the Republican side. But the division within the parties just shows how divided the American people are right now. We can't even decide who we want to support in our own party, let alone even think about right now about the general election. It's absolutely insane because we have this split coming from the establishment. It seems that the American people are starting to wake up and realize that the politicians do not have our best interests in mind. And we're having tremendous pushback on both parties against the establishment. And so it'll be interesting, extremely interesting to see how this plays out. Something else that came in today, Donald Trump and the Pope got into some arguments. Apparently the Pope made comments after visiting Mexico that we should be building bridges, not building walls. Well, that's easy for you to say, Mr. Pope. I don't know what to address him by. The Pope doesn't have to live here. The Pope has nothing to do with the United States. The Pope should have nothing to do with politics. So why he's making political statements, I don't know. If anything, it seems extremely out of place, and it seems unprofessional of him to make comments like that. But I'm not Catholic. I don't know if the Pope... I assume the Pope doesn't normally get into political statements like that. So it just seemed really rather odd, because it was obviously targeted at Trump and Cruz, who have proposed building a wall to stop illegal immigration from happening. Now, I love this comment when it gets brought up that Donald Trump and Ted Cruz are racist because they want to build a wall. No. They want to build a wall to stop illegal immigration. Last time I checked, illegal immigrant was not a race. I don't care if they're Mexican. I don't care if they're Chinese. I don't care if they're from Syria, Iraq, Germany, France. I don't care where they're from. If they're here illegally, they should not be here. I don't care what race. I don't care what they look at like. The reason that Mexican illegal immigration gets brought up so often is because it's the most common. But that's not racist. Illegal immigrant is not a race. So stop playing this card that they're racist for trying to put an end to something illegal. Because as it stands, we are one of the only nations that has even considered amnesty for these people. Most other countries lock down their border. Try getting into Australia illegally. You can't even immigrate there legally unless you have a job lined up. We are the most generous nation in the world as far as immigration is concerned. And yet you have the liberal side bashing on Republicans for the fact that we want people to follow the law and come here legally. We are a nation of laws. If you cannot even enter our nation following the law, then I damn hell, as sure as hell, don't want you here. It's as simple as that. If you came here illegally, you're not an undocumented citizen. No, you are an illegal, you broke the law, and you deserve to come from wherever the hell you came from. Simple as that. We shouldn't be giving them driver's licenses. They sure as hell shouldn't be getting college tuition. They shouldn't be getting welfare or health care. They should be getting a one-way bus ride to wherever they came from, because they came here and broke the law. And we as a society have to have consequences. And it's not fair to those who come here legally, for those who wait and go through the system, to have them get the same treatment as those who break the law and break the system and don't follow it. It's not fair to them. If you want to talk about illegal immigration, you have to be able to put a stop to it, which is where the wall comes in, and then you can talk about updating the legalization process or the path to becoming a legal citizen. Then you can talk about updating that. But until you are able to put an end to illegal immigration, anything we do, it's not going to matter. We cannot continue to allow people to flow through our borders. We cannot continue to allow these people to live off the system, to suck dry our government from its precious money. We're $19 trillion in debt, people. We need to take care of our own. We can't continue to be the world's soup kitchen when we have veterans, when we have American citizens, actual American citizens, who are homeless, who are hungry, and who can't afford to take care of their families because they can't find work. That's not fair to the Americans. And I don't know where or how the liberals were raised, but where I come from, you take care of your family first. And we as a nation are family. And we cannot allow those outsiders to come in, take what's ours, and leave our family out in the cold. That's not how I was raised. That's not how the conservatives were raised. And that's not how this nation needs to be running. Well, guys, time really flies when you're ranting. So, that's going to be the end of today's episode. I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little off. But next week we'll have some of the kinks worked out. But it was great broadcasting live. and I would love to see you subscribe or follow us on Spreaker.com/TheWiseConservative Go ahead and check out youthrevolt.org. Great organization. I'm proud to be a part of it. And until next time, guys, I'm Dakota Wise, and I'm signing off.